everybody. Hello. All right, my name is Lisa Callahan, and I am the founder of the Women's Emotional Eating Community Support Group. And what we do in this group is we help you to be able to identify your invisible emotional relationship with food. And we do this through a journey of self-discovery. I'm also the creator and founder of a program called Crush That Food Thing Self-Discovery System. And this is where I help to guide women to figure out where it is that they are using their thoughts and their feelings about themselves to keep themselves stuck in a vicious circle where they're now using food to stuff down certain feelings that they feel like they are afraid to move through. And some of these things are coming from their past, and some of these things are coming from worrying about their future, and some of these things are coming right from the present. But what we teach everybody in this community is to be able to open up a new level of awareness. Because when you're stuck in a place where your mindset is creating things that are causing you to feel fearful and to feel, just like you're locked into this specific pattern that you can't seem to break, when your mindset feels like there's absolutely no solution to what it is that you're struggling with, and you're the one that's standing in your own way, well, it gets really, really difficult to be able to move past this and to move through this part of your life. And I promise that I was stuck in that place for about 30 years. But because I know better now, because I moved through things, because I was able to open up a new level of awareness, I am now able to live freely in the present without an emotional eating issue that I, again, struggled with for 30 years. So this wasn't like a little thing going on. This was a big thing going on. This consumed an enormous portion of my life. So now that I'm able to live freely in the present, I have to be aware of the places that my mind was causing me to stay stuck. And that's why this topic today, which is on judgments, is going to be so valuable for you. Because part of what my problem was is that I was judging myself so harshly. I was also judging others so harshly, but then I was using my judgment of others to blame others for my problems. And because of that, I created a slew of problems that didn't really even exist because they were just feelings. They were just places in my life that I had felt hurt, and I had felt slighted, and I had felt like, nobody cared about me. But the truth is that through a lot of this process, it was really me that wasn't caring about me enough because I was waiting for someone else to approve of me so that then I could approve of myself. And this is where judgments really can get icky sticky, because when we're waiting for someone outside of ourselves to tell us that it's okay to feel good about ourselves, well, that's going to be a problem. And what I'm going to teach you today about judgments is going to be able to give you an understanding of why that's a problem. So let's talk about judgments, and let's talk about how we can have a judgment-free zone in our minds. So one of the things that I want to remind you of is that we all judge. We all judge. And if you recognize that we all judged, it will be completely understandable as to why we also are all judged. So we judge and we are judged. And when we feel judged and we feel really uncomfortable about that, and it makes us feel awful, if we can remind ourselves that we also judge, then it'll be understandable, because if you're feeling judged by someone else, but yet you judge, you're going to feel like, oh, wow, so I'm human and maybe this other person is human. And trust me when I say this, ladies, I would have never called myself a judge, ever. I would have been like, nope, everybody can do whatever they want. I don't judge anybody. I let everybody do. I'm not, nope, not me. I would have said that, like, a lot. What I realized, though, is that when I started to navigate through self-discovery and I started to open my mindset, I realized that what I was doing was I was judging people by creating circumstances for myself that held me back from exploring my life with a wholehearted feeling about myself, because I was afraid that maybe I would get hurt. And so before anybody could do that to me, because I had been hurt before, I would judge them and then hold myself back from doing certain things because I felt like I didn't want to get hurt. And so it's interesting because as much as I felt like I wasn't judging, I really was. I was judging people before they could do anything to even interfere with my fears. So I was keeping myself stuck basically by judging them for judging me. And it really can seem confusing when you're trying to figure out this place because it doesn't seem to make sense. And it also seems like it totally makes sense to want to protect yourself. However, because your judgment is simply an opinion and not a fact, it causes this space in your mind that can become very narrow. So if you've been hurt in the past, you might feel like you have to protect yourself from getting hurt again. And yet at the same time, when you're protecting yourself from getting hurt again, you're judging someone else before anything can even happen. And you're actually setting yourself up to be hurt. But you're going to do it to yourself before anybody can do it to you. And it's interesting because these are the feelings that we get stuck in with emotional eating. These are the feelings that we're trying to stuff down and we're trying to drown out. And we're trying to fill those spaces inside of ourselves, the holes that have been created from the past, or even the future, where we might worry about something because we saw something that happened to someone else and we're afraid it's going to happen to us and we have to worry now. And so that creates a hole as well, a hole in our heart. And we have to be able to fill it with something. So we end up choosing food. And it feels like that's the right decision to make at the time. But then afterwards, there's a mismatch because you don't want to hurt yourself. And yet you're using food to do just that. And in this case scenario, when we're talking about judgments, you're also using judgments to do that. And you're using your past. And so we want to be able to break free of this pattern. Because if we don't break free of it, if we don't allow our mind to open up some new space for ourselves, then we're always just going to stay stuck in the same pattern and habit. And I promise there's so much more to explore than what you've been exploring if you're stuck in that judgment zone. So to create a judgment-free zone, it's really important to be able to understand what judgments are about. Now, I learned this specific training from my coach, and it's called Your Infinite Life Coaching Company. I don't know if it's out there. I think it actually is, but I learned it from them, so I want to give them credit because I feel like it's important for me to be able to see what it is that I've learned from others and then bring it to you so that you can learn it from me and then you can bring it to others. So what this is called, ladies, is it's called a ripple effect. So somebody helped me so that I could change. And then once I changed, I help you so that you can change. And then once you change, you help someone else. And then they change. And then it goes on and on and on. And that's really what we're doing here. We're just helping each other to navigate through a feeling that we're having about ourselves that makes us feel less than. We are not less than. None of us are. And at the same time, we might be at a different level of awareness. Now, that doesn't equal less than. It doesn't. It just equals different level of awareness. So now, once you know better, once we open up your mindset, the only way you can do better is to know better, right? And so now, once you know something different, you're going to be able to think about it in a different way. So let's go with our judgments. And I'm going to give you a definition that I did learn, again, from your Infinite Life Coaching Company. And the definition is about something called mirroring. Mirroring, like looking in the mirror. So what we want to know about mirroring is that mirroring is when you are judging someone by seeing your own reflection. You can write that down. Mirroring is when you are judging someone by seeing your own reflection. Many times this reflection is skewed by previous thoughts or memories of things that you have experienced or been victim to. And I say that victim to because this could be for anything. So today I was in the car with my son, and I had just eaten some nuts or some almonds, I think. And we got into the car, and he said to me, "Mom, sometimes when you chew, you make a noise." He goes, "And I can't stand it." He goes, "It makes me sick." He goes, "Like literally, like I love you. I don't know. There's something I hear something in it. It just, it drives me nuts." And so I said to him, I said, "So let me ask you, Jacob, was that ever brought to your attention?" And he says, "I don't know." And I said, "Well, because it's a judgment that you're seeing something in yourself, and you're probably worked really hard to never like chew with your mouth open and to chew quietly." And I said, "So you have to work really hard to do that, because if you didn't, you just eat," right? And I said, "So why do you think that you're working so hard to not make any noise when you're eating?" And he says, well, I think it's from my friend Peter. He says, when I was little, he goes, I used to chew with my mouth open. And he goes, and Peter always made fun of me. And I said, well, that's where it's from. And I said, and probably his friend probably heard that from someone else too. And he said, well, yeah, he did. He goes, he always heard it from his mom, who told him not to chew like that. And then he told Jacob not to chew like that. So now, because Jacob got that in his mindset, now he tries really hard not to chew like that. So because when I'm chewing like that, he's seeing a mirror reflection of his own fears of something that he has been victim to, right? Because someone called him out on it. And because he felt judged, his mindset went and it narrowed. And because it narrowed, he doesn't have any room for growth. All he's doing now for the rest of his days, or he's trying to never eat like that because he doesn't want anybody to call him out on it again. So that's why it's triggering him. And it's interesting because a trigger is just an unhealed part of yourself. And when we're doing this with each other, right? So if my mindset was very narrow, I would be pissed off. I'd be embarrassed. I'd be like, well, like what, I chew? Like, what do you mean? And then, because I would then try to work really hard not to chew like that, then if my boyfriend was chewing like that, it would bother me because I would be judging him. But the judgment would just be a mirror reflection that came from Jacob, that came from Peter, that came from his mom, that might have come from her mom. And it just goes into this thing, and it carries on, and it spreads through everybody. which is why when we are feeling judged by someone else, we have to know that it's a mirror reflection of something that they fear. Once you understand this concept, it frees you. When I learned this, and I was like, wow, I don't have to worry when somebody judges me anymore, because it's not about me, it's about them. And because it's about them, I'm off the hook. The only thing that I need to be responsible for is my judgments of myself and my judgments of others. And keeping in mind that the judgments, even of yourself, are a mirror reflection of my fears, right? So I want to make sure that we're clear on what this piece means for your life, for your freedom, for your judgment-free zone in your mind. You do not have to take ownership of someone else's problem. And if you are feeling judged by someone else, and then you are allowing that to translate into you judging yourself, once again, it's a mirror reflection of fear. So that means now that you're actually honoring fear. And I want to ask why you would be doing that. So now that you know a little bit better, you know differently, now that you understand that, you can start to open up a new level of awareness so that you don't have to use judgments as a way for you to eat, because now you're going to be like, oh, well, this is happening to me and I feel so awful about myself, right? You don't have to do that anymore. So we want to be able to think of three things. The first thing we want to think about is where in your judgments you are seeing your own reflection. So even if it's you judging yourself, we want to think about, well, what has triggered this from your past memory? What has triggered you to feel this way about yourself? If it came from someone else, which it always does, because honestly, we wouldn't know to judge ourselves. Think about you as a 3-year-old. Think about it. Purple hat, orange pants, red socks. You're like, woo, I look amazing. Think about that time you took the lipstick and you were like, ah, and you're like, look at me, I'm so pretty, right? Like literally would not know to judge yourself at all. The first time that I remember being judged, I was about 3. And I went into a nursery school and I was so excited to go. I wanted to play with the kids and I was so social and I couldn't wait. And the teacher and my mother brought me over to this little group of girls and they were playing in the hallway with these dolls. They all had dresses on and I had pants. And my hair was really short, tight to my head, very curls. And when the girls looked at me and Mrs. Whatever says, girls, we have a new girl to play with. And the girls looked up and were like, that's not a girl, that's a boy. We don't want to play with the boy. And I ended up getting shot out of that group. And I had to go sit with 2 other kids who were not in the groups. I felt awful. This didn't happen to me once. It happened to me many times. And so that made me judge myself. And I felt like as I got to be a teenager, I acted out on that. I became very sexual, tried to wear tight little clothing, put on tons of makeup. Like I wanted to make sure that nobody knew that I was a boy. And I really used that. And it came from feeling so judged. So as we're working through this, we want to really see, where are you seeing your own reflection when you're judging yourself is it coming from something in the past that's a trigger of a memory of something that happened to you that wasn't stellar? It wasn't great. And yet, where is it that you're now taking that thing that wasn't great and using it in your day-to-day life to hurt yourself with? Because that doesn't seem like a good idea either. The second thing that we want to do is we want to be able to quiet your opinion. Because here's the thing about judgments is they really are just an opinion. And I have a little note here that I remember writing down. Typically, the opinions and judgments that we form about ourselves come from a misalignment with something that we think that we have done that is out of character from our core traits. So think about that for a minute. Think about what your core traits are. The truth is that I always felt like I was extremely accepting. Never felt anything. Didn't matter you were a boy, you were a girl, nothing mattered to me. I always felt very, very free. I was easygoing, happy-go-lucky. And then when I felt judged, I shut that shit down. And for a long time in my life, I was constantly trying to prove myself because I felt like I was extremely accepting of myself, and yet I wasn't accepted by others in certain circumstances. And these things shut my mind down. So then I had to go against my core, which wasn't a good idea for me because it allowed me to form opinions of myself and of others, really, because then what I ended up doing was I really ended up judging them for thinking that they were judging me. And in a lot of circumstances, they weren't. But because I had been hurt, I took that and created an illusion that allowed me to stay stuck in my mindset, feeling judged. But really, it was me judging myself and then judging other people for thinking that they were judging me, which was against my character. So it became a sticky point for me, and it became a trigger. And trust me when I say that that was a lot of my food thing. So we want to really be able to try and quiet your opinion. This may seem difficult because you might say to me, well, Lisa, like I can't stop thinking, I can't turn my brain off. And yes, I get it. There were times in my life that I got really scared almost because I could not sit still. And I kept busy, and I had to keep busy because I couldn't think of anything, because if I started thinking about things, then it would just cause me to, self-destruct. So I couldn't even sit down at one point. I remember trying meditation. I was like, I cannot do this, because I would close my eyes for a second and there was like this rapid, and I was thinking, wow, like I can't even close my eyes for 10 seconds without my brain just being like, whoa. So when you're trying to quiet your opinion, it is going to be a practice, and it is going to be something that you are going to do little pieces at a time. If you are really charged where you cannot quiet your opinion, it's going to take a little bit of time. And what I would recommend is just every day setting a timer on your phone or whatever for 1 minute, like one minute. And just if you can't do this, just like 1 minute. And as soon as you sit, and if you're comfortable closing your eyes, if you're not, fine, just stare down, like just stare straight out. And for that 1 minute, any thought that comes into your head goes into a red balloon in your mind and just goes out, out, out. And you will see that the thoughts are going to come fast. They're just going to be like, just get them all out, 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 out for that 1 minute. And if you can do that every day for 2 weeks, you will see that you will start to enjoy that minute where you don't have to think about anything and you can quiet your opinion. And then you'll be able to progress from there. You'll be able to get up to 2 minutes and 3 minutes. And it doesn't matter where you start. It just matters that you start, period. The last thing is decide what you can learn from this. Because when we're in that protection mode, where we're protecting all of the things that we feel like we're stuck in, all the past memories and all the stuff, we can't learn anything new. And that sucks because you're living, like you're alive. And if you're living, you should be learning. And so when you're a little child, we think, oh, we go to school and we have this like, I don't know, I did anyways, like I had this vision in my head that like when I became an adult, like I would know everything. Wrong. You don't know anything, period. You don't. And the only things that you learned were coming from your home life, from your family, from your parents. Now, it doesn't make them wrong, and yet at the same time, you're an individual. And so you're meant to learn things. I have women all the time that I speak to, and they say to me like, well, I come from a long line of binge eaters. Like my mom struggled, my grandma struggled. Like this is what I know, you know? That's bullshit. So what? Okay, now what are you going to do with it? So you can use that and just say like, don't know what to say. I'm an adult now. I should know everything. That's not going to be okay though. It's not. And it's something that you're going to want to open up again, new mindset for, because if you're limiting yourself with those thoughts, then that's not going to help you move freely into the future. And you'll stay stuck just trying to stay stuck. Like you'll literally be so busy keeping yourself stuck that you won't be able to see anything else because you're so busy with all the thoughts and all the judgments and all the opinions and all the stuff that you can't even take a moment to see that you are the one thing that's standing in your own way. And if you're doing that and you're judging yourself so harshly that it's unkind, then you're going to want to be able to decide why you want to stop, know that you can stop, know that you're not going to have all the answers at once. I mean, you didn't learn the alphabet in one day, right? You didn't learn how to tie your shoes in one sitting. You didn't learn how to ride a bike. Like, you're learning. So if you're going to be able to allow yourself to learn, you have to be able to tell yourself that you can learn. So this is where we're going to have to open up some mindset, because if you think that you know everything right now, you're wrong. I don't know everything right now. I learn new things about myself every day. Now that I've crushed my food thing, the next thing that I have been into is working on simplifying things, because for me, I judged myself a lot and I overcomplicated things because I felt somewhere deep inside that I wasn't organized and I was clumsy and I was a mess, and I would like, these are the things that I labeled myself with, and because I labeled myself with those things, I had to overcomplicate things. Well, now that I know those things aren't true, the rest of it's just a habit. So now I'm trying to undercomplicate things. We even have a little joke inside of our Crush That Food Thing coaching group that says, underthink it, right? Because if we can make things simple, then they won't be so contaminated with stuff that we can't figure out. So this is where we are going to want to be able to open up some new mindset. And I hope that I've helped you to be able to understand why it is that you want to create a judgment-free zone in your mindset, so that way you have room to have other things, because we don't want to take our mind and keep it totally closed, because a closed mind cannot accept any new ideas. And if you think you want something different, but you've got your mind closed shut, well, the store is not open for any new ideas, so you won't be able to get there. All right, so if you want to work with me at all, I would love to be able to chat with you, and somewhere in the link to this is a link to just a 15-minute call. It's not long. We just will chat and see if something that I have to say interests you, and if we're the right fit to work together, then I will actually invite you to another call. All of this is free. It's just a matter of being able to see if we connect on a deeper level and if self-discovery is something that you want to explore. So until next time, I will see you, and thank you very much for joining me live. Bye now.